and then we'll take some questions.
And nice and chilly out there. I thought the guys had really good enthusiasm, spirited practice, good competition. Trying to change some things up just to keep it interesting for them and do the same amount of time, same amount of work, just changing the order sometimes and breaking some normal habits. But the guys are in good spirits, practicing hard and getting ready for a physical game, because you can't practice for these guys without hitting and thudding and having a lot of contact, because they are very physical and they got really good backs and they got a really good defensive scheme as well. So I'm excited to play them.
Questions?
How much does Steven Johnson factor into what they like to do offensively?
Oh, it's a major factor. He can pull the ball and run at any time. I think he makes really good decisions on when to pull the ball. They're not all design runs. They just give him the option to pull it. He's improved immensely from the time he got there as a passer. You know, he's a much better passer this year. They've got a really good scheme. I think Eddie Grand does a really good job. Always have.
Coach, last Tuesday you said you weren't really happy with how the team was tackling in practice. How much do you think that contributed to the defensive performance against Auburn, and what do you have to do this week to make sure it doesn't happen again against Kentucky?
I think I mentioned that I haven't been happy with the tackling the entire time, and I really haven't. I think that to be a physical football team, you have to practice physical and hit people and thud and wrap up, and we got pretty good backs. So there's not been a day that I was really happy with our tackling. There's been some games that I was more pleased than others, but not a practice. So we have to continue to work on it. And players got to hold each other accountable, and it certainly helps when they call each other out. When one guy says, "Hey, you didn't thud the guy, you need to thud him." So that's usually when we do better.
It's the defensive front when you have a game like you just had physically. Is it just as easy as getting back on the right track as the next game, getting back out there and trying out physical the next opponent?
I don't really know. I mean, the big thing is you got to go play the next game. You got to strike, hat speed, work on technique. Not much you can do. Go back to work. That's what we're doing. Go back to work and continue to work on getting on and off blocks. At the end of the day, every football game comes down to blocking and tackling, because we all got plays, but who's going to block and tackle better? And we didn't get off blocks real good. We got blocked better than we got off blocks.
Coach, I mean, after certain games this year, some defensive players have said that the unit didn't play up to their standard. And I mean, after the latest performance, I mean, did you see anything different in the defense's approach or mentalities that came into this week? I mean, I know that it's the next game, but I was just wondering if there was any change in how they came about practice this week.
I wouldn't say any major changes. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they practice pretty good each week. The demeanor this week has been physical, wildcat, toughness, strike people, get off blocks. But that's not really that's not a change in demeanor from previous weeks. We just got to do it at a higher level.
Kirby, was there any hesitation with McCall going from defense to receiver to have him handle both kickoffs and punts in terms of a lot on his plate, and how much of a boost has he been the way he's returning it?
And he's been a great boost, but as far as concerned what he can handle, I know a lot of college football players that are the returner for punt and for kickoff, so that was not a concern. I mean, he usually runs about 8,000 yards at track practice, and we're just asking him to run about 400 or 500 in a game. So I think he can handle the workload, and the ball's not real heavy, so he can carry it, and it seems like he's doing pretty good with that part.
Coach, when you struggle offensively like you did the other day, is there ever, as a coach, is there ever a kind of catch yourself kind of fighting against trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and just keep doing what you're doing, or kind of how do you approach it?
No, you're always trying to reinvent the wheel. You're looking for new ideas, new plays, but you can't throw everything throw everything away and just start anew. You got certain plays you run, you learn them since camp. You try to window dress them different ways. Try to execute better, protect better, give the quarterback a chance. Maybe give him some easier throws, but you're not trying to change everything. No, you're just trying to play well against Kentucky.
How do you feel about the way you guys have gotten the football to the back, like on screens and just quick dump offs and that sort of thing?
It's hard to do the way people play us. We don't see traditional coverages. People don't play us the way that we play people. The way people play us a lot of times is to take the run away, and a lot of times it's like that. It's not as simple as calling a screenplay, and there's more to it than that. And we're trying to find ways to get the backs the ball, because we got a lot of backs. but they cover our backs out of the backfield last week, and they covered our backs in the slot. So you're always trying to find a way to get them the ball. There's no easy way against really good defenses.
In layman's terms, does that also mean they're playing the edges a lot, so that if you throw a screen or whatever, the edge might not be there a lot?
I don't know that screens, the way I look at screens, aren't edge plays. I mean, there's internal screens, there's outside screens, there's screens all over the place. But at the end of the day, screens, you got to have somebody go block somebody for the screen. And we don't always do that real well. Something we've worked really hard on, but our perimeter receivers blocking on screens has not been a big success for us. We look at a lot of things. We look at a lot of things that hurt defenses. And you look at explosive plays each team you play each week is giving up. And a lot of times you try to mimic those. We call it copycats. We see the same plays each week. Auburn copied some plays that had worked against us. So offensively, you're always trying to figure out what works on that defense.
Kirby, you guys have been good against the run this year, but obviously before last week, what kind of challenge Benny Snell presented compared to some other guys?
Tremendous challenge. I mean, he's just as good as carry on. I mean, he runs the ball really hard. He's really physical. He gets his pads down. Good back, and they're committed to the run. So we got to strike. We got to keep edges. We got to tackle well. We got to fit things. We got to play better.
Coach, given how competitive this conference is, how big is it that theoretically, Georgia could have beaten every team in the East after Saturday?
Well, I think it's just the next step. I mean, it's who we play next. So I mean, our goal is to win every game. So that's the next step, is to give these seniors an opportunity to do something that no Georgia team's ever done, and that's beat every team in the East, and that's the goal. The goal is to send them out on top at Sanford Stadium.
I know people like to psychoanalyze. Any difference the team after Saturday versus 2 weeks of being number one?
I don't think so. I don't sense that. I mean, I thought they had really good use today, good energy. They don't seem concerned with any of that stuff. I mean, we've asked them to get over it, and we've had a good attitude, and they certainly seem that way. I don't think so.
Kirby used to return kicks. What's the difference between good return and taking it the distance? Separate. Obviously, Mikol's gotten close before.
Well, I mean, there's taking it the distance, and you could have made bad decisions, and you took it the distance. And then there's hey, making a bad decision in a return that was 28 yards could have been 100 yards. There's all in between. But it's a lot easier for us to sit by this microphone or sit in that seat and say that a guy made a bad decision or a wrong decision because we weren't out there with him. And a lot of return game to me is instincts. And the best way you improve your instincts is with time and reps. And I think Miko continues to improve at that. He's really explosive. He's not afraid, and that's about half the battle.
How would Jake in the first 2 days of practice this week coming off his game the other day?
He's been good. He's sharp. He was energized today and making some good throws. I mean, players seem fine. I think you guys are a lot more concerned about it than they are. They seem good.
Any other questions?
All right, guys.
Okay, thank you.